In Shakespeare's King Lear, two aging fathers lose everything because they trust what they can see on the surface rather than what they hear in the quiet. Only after the Earl of Gloucester has his eyes brutally gouged out does he finally admit, "I stumbled when I saw." When he later meets the mad King Lear, Lear gives him a strange, brilliant piece of advice for navigating a treacherous world without eyes. "A man may see how this world goes with no eyes. Look with thine ears." Welcome back to Torah in 7. I'm Bela Olidord, and this week's episode is dedicated to Malka Bat Reb David on her 94th birthday, with love from her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. If you'd like to dedicate an episode in honor or memory of someone special, you'll find all the details at torahin7.substack.com. This week, we read Parshat Va-etChanan, named for Moshe's plea to God to allow him to enter the land. And here, at the very climax of his life, Moshe delivers the words that would become the heartbeat of Jewish consciousness. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. Notice that Moshe doesn't say, "See, O Israel," he says, "Hear." And what I'm curious about is, why does Moshe anchor this cardinal declaration of faith in the ear rather than the eye? And why does he wait until the fifth book of the Torah to do it? Perhaps because now the people are about to enter a new world. For 40 years, they wandered through a wilderness of sand and miracles. There was very little to distract the eye. But now the visual floodgates are about to open. They're about to enter and inherit a land with vineyards and orchards and houses and material wealth. And Moshe understands that once their eyes become captivated by physical abundance, their spiritual hearing may begin to fade. So before they learn how to live in the land, Moshe teaches them how to perceive it. He gives them the Shema. In biblical Hebrew, the Shema means more than sound waves striking the eardrum. Shema means to listen with complete concentration, to absorb, and to internalize. And that's why when we recite this verse, we cover our eyes for just a few minutes. For just a few moments, we shut down the overpowering visual field to allow us to focus, to hear the frequency of absolute oneness. Sight is an immediate external sense. Your eyes take in a surface without any conscious effort. It requires no work to notice a grand city or a sprawling vineyard. It's observational. It allows us to keep a safe distance. We can look at something across the room without it ever touching us. But hearing is different. Hearing is relational. Sound enters our space. It vibrates within us. To listen is to let another voice inside. And this is what the Shema is, the discipline of making room for another and ultimately for God within our own consciousness. So Moshe is telling the people, if you can master this level of listening, the abstract truth of God's unity will stop being a distant concept and will become the lens through which you process the material world you are about to inherit. And it fundamentally changes how you see the world. At Sinai, the Torah tells us that something almost impossible happened. It says, "And all the people saw the sounds." Now, how do you see a sound? One classical interpretation takes this literally to mean that they saw what is usually only heard, and they heard what is usually only seen. What is normally invisible, the divine voice, became as vivid and undeniable as the physical world itself. And that insight is not only about what happened at Sinai, it's about what the Shema asks of us every day. Because most of us hear one another, but far fewer of us truly listen. We listen to reply, to defend, to persuade, or to fix. But every lasting marriage eventually teaches the same lesson. The deepest moments of intimacy come not from solving problems, but from feeling truly heard. And that's the ultimate goal of the Shema. When you listen deeply to another person, you step, however briefly, outside your own perspective. And as you absorb their words, you begin to perceive the world from their vantage point. You don't simply understand them better, you begin to see differently. That's what happened at Sinai. Israel didn't simply hear God's voice, they learned to perceive reality differently. And that's what Moshe hopes will happen after they cross the Jordan. If they continue to practice the art of Shema, of deep, receptive listening, the land they inherit will no longer be merely fields and vineyards and homes, but it will become a transparent window to something deeper. Every vineyard, every home, and every harvest will speak to them of the relationship with the one who gave it. There's an anecdote in the Talmud about a reed flute that stood in the temple from the days of Moshe. Its sound was so beautiful that it stirred the heart of everyone who heard it. So the king ordered it overlaid with gold. But the moment they covered it in gold, its melody was ruined. Its sweet sound vanished. Seeing what happened, the king had the gold stripped away, and the flute's beautiful original voice returned. Sometimes we spend so much effort polishing the visible that we lose the music beneath it. We chase the perfect image, the shinier status. We scroll through carefully curated photos. We glance at profiles and we mistake appearances for intimacy. But the Talmud reminds us that the gold can muffle the melody. If we want to hear the song again, to see the invisible things that can only be heard, we need to step back from the dazzle and, as Lear said, to look with thine ears. This is the daily practice of the Shema. And that's it for Torah in 7 for Parshat Va-etChanan. Thank you for listening. Shabbat Shalom.